So needless to say, time has become very precious now. You cannot, I mean, when I'm talking to CAT23 aspirants right now, I'm telling them to do stuff. I'm telling them to to start their work, etc. And when I'm telling them that to do, I know that उसमें से कुछ लोग करेंगे, कुछ लोग नहीं करेंगे. जो नहीं करेंगे उनको मैं, अगर वो मेरे पास दो महीने बाद आते हैं कि सर अभी तक स्टार्ट नहीं किया मैं कुछ किया नहीं काम, तो मैं उनको फिर एक रिकवरी प्लान दे दूंगा. वो 6 महीने बाद भी आएंगे. If they come after 6 months also, they come to in April. Somebody joins us for CAT at Mindworks in September. In September 2022 for CAT23, they come to me in June, July next year. कि सर मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं अभी तक, मैं बिजी हो गया था, घर में कुछ हो गया था, शादी हो गई थी किसी की, etc. etc. There's so many things that happened in my house, so and in my life, so I couldn't prepare. I am now wanting to prepare for CAT23 seriously. He comes to me in June, July. I can still give him a plan and say, tell him that okay, this is what you do, and you have not used 9 months, 10 months of your preparation time, 14 months preparation time that you had. You have a recovery plan. But 75 days, once you formulate a plan, now recovery plans become more and more difficult, as you can appreciate. So precision is required. Yeah, there has to be a reason. This is one of the key things of your preparation plan. 75 days to me mean around 150 study sessions. If you give 2 study sessions a day, it means 150 study sessions. So 150 study sessions में precision बहुत जरूरी कि तुम करके आ रहे हो, क्यों कर रहे हो. You can't waste your time going here and there, which I feel I see a lot of CAT aspirants doing. कि अपने टाइम को इधर उधर बर्बाद करते रहते हैं. कोई YouTube चैनल पे जाके वीडियोस देख रहे हैं, करने के लिए तो तैयारी कर रहे हैं. But I mean, if I have a bottle and I have to close it and I've got 5 seconds to do it, I cannot do other things. I cannot do other things like putting my AC remote on it or anything. If I have to do it in 5 things, I have to be precise and do the right thing, and it gets done, right? So I cannot do things which are not going to help me on D-Day. So this is the first premise. जो भी काम करना, my time is very precious. My time, my every study session is precious, and it has to be defined by me कि मेरे को क्या करना चाहिए और क्यों करना चाहिए. Both those things. So because of this logic that precision is required in everything you do now, you need to be very precise with respect to what you do. So if I just look at a couple of names here, so what Adarsh Chaudhary is doing, I mean, I'm going with the A's to start with, and what Akash Upadhyay is doing might not be the same thing. What might be very important for Adarsh Chaudhary to do might not be very important for Aanchal Jain to do. Right? So precision becomes important in the context of, in your context, not in the context of कि इस टाइम ये करने से अच्छा होता है. दुनिया के लिए अच्छा होता होगा, लेकिन तुम्हारे लिए वो अच्छा होगा कि नहीं is something you have to understand, and you have to find out, and it has to be part of the plan. It cannot be unplanned. Now कि CAT prep में ये सब होता है जनरल. अब तुम सितंबर में स्टार्ट कर रहे हो CAT23 के लिए, as I told you, तुम जनरल चीजें करो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. So तुम्हारे प्रेसाइज स्ट्रक्चर में क्या रिक्वायर्ड है, उसके लिए सबसे पहला स्टेप है ऑडिट. ऑडिट योर वर्बल, ऑडिट योर कॉन्ट्स, ऑडिट योर DILR. ऑडिट के लिए क्या जरूरी है, व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड, हाउ डू यू ऑडिट. द क्वेश्चन अराइजेस, हाउ डू यू ऑडिट, कैसे करना चाहिए ऑडिट. मेरा इंग्लिश अच्छा है, मेरा मैथ्स अच्छा है, मेरा DILR ठीक नहीं है, ये तो एक स्टार्टिंग स्टूडेंट बता देगा मेरे को जो 15 दिन तैयारी किया है. So when somebody is looking at CAT in 75 days, the audit has to be more detailed. The audit has to be more structured. And one part of this audit, I mean, few dimensions of this audit that are must. So when you audit your verbal, you have to try to audit. First of all, I mean, for each of these, you have to audit your. I think 3 numbers are critical for me in this audit. And each of these audits, the first and foremost, the best way, the most important way to do an audit, the best way to do an audit is to take a sectional test on it. What do you mean by sectional test? I sometimes feel very despondent when I tell people to take a sectional test and they come back and take a chapter test and come back. A sectional test means 40 minutes, like a section of CAT. CAT has 3 sections. So what does a sectional test mean? It means 40 minutes verbal ability, reading comprehension का section, 24 questions, जो current pattern है CAT का. What does sectional test of cons mean? You take 40 minutes, all chapters, 22 questions. Try to do that. So sectional tests are very important building block. And I want you to know three numbers for yourself. You don't need to come to me with it. I'll tell you how to analyze this during the session. So three numbers I want you to know about yourself. जब तक तुम ये तीन नंबर नहीं जानते हो तब तक तुम यही बोलोगे कौन सा अच्छा है कौन सा खराब है, वर्बल अच्छा है वर्बल ठीक है वर्बल खराब है, DILR बहुत खराब है DILR खराब है DILR ठीक है, यही बोलते रहोगे. That is not something that, I mean, as I said, a starter who's prepared for a month and wants to give CAT 1 year later, if he gives me that information, I'm okay with it. But a person going into CAT 75 days from now gives me this information, I'll ask him कि ये तीन numbers बताओ. क्या numbers हैं? One number is measurement of your knowledge. Measurement of your knowledge, and not just knowledge, let's call it knowledge and ability, because this is a skill-based exam. So one thing is measurement of your knowledge and ability. कि मेरे को 24 क्वेश्चन वर्बल दे दो, अभी कैट का पेपर दे दो, मेरे को सिर्फ वर्बल का सॉल्व करना है, मेरे को 40 मिनट में, तो मैं कितने राइट कर लूंगा अगर मेरे को 40 मिनट के बदले 100 मिनट मिले? Not in 40 minutes. What is your capacity of getting questions right in 100 minutes? Do you have the capacity of getting 20 or 24 right? So this will be your the first thing you look at. Same thing in quants and the same thing in DILR. DILR में क्या है, 4 sets का पेपर हो गया है, right? 4 sets का पेपर हो गया है. तो 4 sets का पेपर अगर हो गया है और 4 sets 40 minutes में करना होता है, you have to do 4 sets in 40 minutes, which means 10 minutes per set. So when you're auditing your DILR and you're auditing knowledge and ability, you first audit at 25 minutes per set. That means you give yourself 100 minutes. And you ask yourself this, or you try to check 20-25 minutes के range में दे दो each set में, 80 minutes दे दो, 100 minutes दे दो, double तो कर ही दो time को, and you see how much are you able to get correct. Because you need to understand, a lot of people ask me this question all the time, how do I clear the CAT every time? And as you know, I've given CAT maybe 21 times, not maybe, actually 21 times, and I've cracked it every time in my life, right? And my percentile is always 99.99, 99.97, 98. I've got 100 percentiles in individual sections multiple times. So people ask me this question, how do I crack the CAT? So the first secret of that is this number. Right, so for the toppers, this number will be, I mean, for verbal, I give you the toppers numbers. For the toppers, this number for verbal will be 22. If you give them enough time, you take away the time element. For toppers, the quants number will be 22, all 22. Now I'm talking about knowledge ability numbers. And for DILR, it will be all 20 questions. This will be the skill level, the knowledge and ability of the toppers. So when you start doing this audit and you come to know that your DILR ability is 10 to 12. अब जैसे DILR में बहुत issue होता है लोगों को कि the most common question I'm getting about data interpretation and logical reasoning from CAT aspirants right now is how do I improve my score? मेरे को सबसे बड़ा problem, somebody messaged me 2 days ago कि मेरा सबसे बड़ा problem set selection है कि मेरे को पता नहीं चलता है कि set कौन सा select करूं. Now my answer to that question was that the question itself is wrong. Why? Because set selection किसी के पास वो hindsight वाला set selection नहीं हो सकता है. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, once you see the paper, you solve the paper, then you look back at the paper, then you can say, okay, this is the easiest set, and this is the next most difficult set, and this is the next most. So if I have to order the order in which I solve these sets, that has to be the order. I have to go from here to here to here. So set 3 I should solve first. ये hindsight में मिलता है. This you will come to know after you spend 1 hour, 1.5 hours in the paper. Nobody has the skill, and if somebody tells you कि मेरे पास ये skill है कि मैं set देखते ही बता दूंगा कि ये सबसे आसान वाला है, तो वो बेवकूफ बना रहा है तुमको. He is just lying through his teeth. Don't listen to that. I can give you my own personal example. I was telling this to some of my students at Mindworks the other day. CAT 2017, I was giving slot 2. I was giving slot 1, sorry, CAT 2017 I was giving slot 1. और मेरे slot में उस time 32 questions का paper होता था, 32 questions, 60 minutes. And in my slot there were 8 sets. And I solved 7 sets in that paper. When I came out of the paper, when I came out of the exam, I met my students outside, and some of them came up to me and said, "Sir, एक सेट तो बहुत आसान था, बर्गर पिज्जा सेट." बोला वो सेट था कहाँ, मेरे को तो दिखा ही नहीं. So what I'm trying to tell you is, even at my level, I never can make out which set is easy, which is bad. Of course, if you come across that set to start with, so solve करते समय समझ में आ जाता है कि easy है कि tough है. लेकिन मेरे को 8वें सेट मेरे पेपर में unfortunately that set was the 8th one, और मेरा सॉल्विंग होता है 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. मैं 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 तक पहुंच गया था, 8 पे जा नहीं पाया. Right? So the first task, I mean, this will start throwing up. I mean, if your ability in 80 minutes is 10 12 questions, how can you, I mean, how can you expect to get more than 6 to 8 questions corrected? As simple as this. ये कैसे हो सकता है कि तुम यहाँ पे 12 कर पा रहे हो, यहाँ पे भी 12 कर लोगे? So somebody comes to me and says कि मेरे को DILR में स्कोर बढ़ाना है, मेरे को 20 नंबर आ रहे हैं DILR में. I'm getting only 20 marks in DILR. My first question to him will be, how much can you score? Can you score 60 marks, or can you score 50 marks without time limit? If you can't, then the problem is not there. You cannot increase your speed and you cannot improve your set selection. Because one more thing happens. I'll come to this individual sectional aspect when I come to that slide on the section. But similar logic happens in quants. Out of 22 questions, if there's no time limit, how much do you have the knowledge and ability to do? Right? And typically what I've seen is, and so this second number is how many you actually solve in time limit. If time limit is introduced and you have the sectional time limits of the CAT paper, and you can test this both on sectional tests, and you can also start testing this in your mocks. So typically what I've seen is knowledge and ability का जो तुम्हारा number है उसका करीब ये 60% रहेगा. This will be around 60% of that. 60 maybe for great conversion it might go to 80. ठीक है, if you have a very good day, you might go to 90% of what you know. So it can happen that you know 12 questions and you did 10 of them. But it can't happen that you knew 12 questions and you did 15 out of the 20 questions. It can't happen. I think there's common sense, and you understand this as well as I do. Similarly, do an audit of your quants. What is the number? And don't do an audit on one test, because one test में randomness होता है audit का. तो एक टेस्ट में तुम्हारे चैप्टर के क्वेश्चंस ज्यादा आ गए या कम आ गए, तो randomness होता है. So if you do this over around 5-6 tests, which include sectional plus mocks, मेरे को कितना हो जाता है मेरे से? How many questions do I know? So you will automatically start getting an average value, which will be typical of what your current knowledge and ability.